What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. So stage 1 of pre-KVK is over. The Marauders fighting is done. So while it was a lot of work, it was a ton of fun, but we are moving on to other events. The event tonight that I'll be going over is the Ceroli Crisis. So I did a video before on Ceroli Assault, which is the 12-person match. This is the Crisis, which is just you and 3 other players killing the Ceroli bosses. For those of you guys that are new here, my name is Svet. I play the mobile game Rise of Kingdoms on Apple and Android. If you guys like content about this game, if you're trying to learn how to grow your account fast or do events like these in the most efficient way possible so that way you're not having to play it all night, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I put out all sorts of content on how I play the game, how my alliance does certain events, just to let you guys know how we're doing it to help you grow your account and do these events more efficiently. So yeah, like I said, tonight we are going over Ceroli Crisis. This event is also a lot of fun. It's definitely more difficult than the Ceroli Assault. So there's lots of little tips and tricks. I know we've had this event out for quite some time, so a lot of you guys may know a lot of these, but I just wanted to show you how I was doing it and how my alliance members do it with me as well. The first boss we did here was Kira. So we just started with the traditional Ceroli boss, Kira. As you guys know, you go out and hit her, and she's going to do damage and AoE to one commander, and then while she is dropping those whatever they are, arrows of fire or whatnot, you have to get into the bubbles to take cover. One big thing here is, again, I know these have been out for a while, but if you guys didn't know, whatever player gets that arrow hitting them right there, that says, I'm going to blow, get away, you do have to get away from the other players at least. What you can do is try to get each player around the boss perfectly. That way that AoE doesn't hit your other players. But that slows you and increases the damage that you're going to take for a certain amount of time. So when it says that, it says it again right there, you do want to drag your troops away. And if you're playing with somebody who's not walking away, you definitely want to try to get away from them to keep you alive as long as possible. And again, when it says quick enter the veil, you want to go into those. It is a little annoying, but these arrows of fire that are falling down from the sky will mess you up really quick, and you'll have to start over and do it again. So we were all on Discord. That's one huge recommendation that I would make in regards to doing, especially Ceroli Crisis. Obviously, in Ceroli Assault, there's 12 players. Might be a little more complicated to get on Discord, but in Crisis, where it's just 4 of you from your alliance, or from your kingdom or whatever it is, you guys want to try as hard as you can to get on Discord. It just makes the coordination so much easier, and it makes it so that you can kill these bosses your first try and not failing and having to go over it again and then type stuff into chat while you're playing. The chat box is great and it's helpful for hanging out and stuff like that, but when you're in a real-time fight like this and somebody needs to do something a little bit different, you got to get away. You got to get on Discord, whatever it might be. You got to get on Discord so that you guys can communicate most efficiently. So we did it the first time. We're doing it on hell mode, the highest difficulty, and I've got the whales with me, so that's nice. I am the smallest player in this event right here, right now. Looks like I'm just behind Yuta. So you guys saw Yuta's video from the Marauders chess yesterday, but playing with Yuta, Diesel, and then Akari, who is a huge whale as well. The next boss we do is, we call her Ice Queen, but her technical name is Frida. So this is one that is probably the easiest out of all of them. We went into this one with all DPS on all of our marches. The previous one, we kind of had a mix. I think we had 1 tank with Kira. Here we went all DPS. We do have a Richard out there, which is nice, but we didn't feel like we needed a tank on this one. And we went all DPS just to do as much damage as possible because her special skill isn't really that difficult because you can get away from it pretty easy and kill off the other little barbarians that come at you. You don't necessarily need a full-blown tank on this one, but we did have a Richard out there to help just in case stuff got wild. But we went all DPS on this one just because we knew we could take this one down. In our experience, this one's been the easiest. So that's what we went with on Frida. Now, when she ices up like that, and that's why we call her the Ice Queen, You got to get away. You go down to the corners, and you do want to stay together here. You don't want one player to be off in a corner or top or bottom of the map, getting hit by all these other little barbarians at one point in time. Y'all do want to stay together. That way you can take these out as quickly as possible. And one player doesn't take all the damage, because you want all 4 players hitting the boss for as long as possible. If one of them goes down, I think one of us goes down here before we're actually done. It's not the end of the world, but it can't happen too soon. So when she does her first ice move, you do want to all be together, fighting those little barbarians together in one corner, top or bottom of the map here. And so she's going down nice and easy. You do want to try to be spaced apart. Like I said with Kira, when you are perfectly spaced apart, the I'm going to explode thing doesn't really matter. She does do AoE, Frida does, and it's not circular, and she kind of pops some random ones here and there as well. But the main one that she does is definitely the most dangerous to get hit by. So you do want one person to be taking that and not the entire team. And if you do have a Richard out there or someone that's a little more tanky, you definitely want that person taking that special attack and AoE attack from her. And again, we want to try to stay together here. And we've got, there I go. So at first I was up there by myself and was fighting all of them by myself, and realized, okay, I'm taking way too much damage. I got to get back down to the squad so that we can fight all these little guys together. That's her second time popping that ice damage, the circular ice damage right there. And so now we're going back to her. We're getting pretty close to being done. I remember getting a little worried here if we were going to win or not, because we did all full DPS. And, it might have been useful to have a tank, not going to lie, with the actual skill setup from the tanks. But we were still able to take her down. And it wasn't the end of the world for that. So if you've got, somebody who's extremely strong, or has got a really, really good Richard maxed out and good gear and stuff like that, definitely can do it with DPS, but it was a little scary there towards the end. So, and yeah, Diesel was the Richard. And I think they calculate points here based on not only the damage you do, but the damage that you take as well. So that's, I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but Diesel was the winner right there, I think, because he was taking a lot of the damage throughout the match. The next one we do is Astrid, and we call her the Bat Girl, because when she switches from her first skill, which is like the arrow strike, to the bat strike, it can be lethal. So it's really important to have 2 tanks. You need 2 tanks on this one, or else you can't do it. And then 2 DPS. We rarely use support. We only use it on the main boss, the last boss that just came out, which we'll get to last. But this one, you have to have 2 tanks. You absolutely have to have the tanks, or else that bat, when she switches her skill around, is going to just take out whoever had that debuff on when she was doing the arrow strike at first. So when she's doing that arrow strike, you guys see the blue icon above her. That's going to show what skill she's doing. And so what that does is it's actually going to debuff that Richard right there, or just make that Richard take more damage. I don't know if it actually debuffs, but it makes that Richard take more damage while he is in effect. And that'll last for X amount of seconds. I'm not exactly sure. But see, she just switched, and now it's a red bat, club icon over her. And then that's going to do a ton of damage to whoever she's actually targeting. So what we did there is, why you have to have 2 tanks is you have to have that taunt skill. You have to be able to make Astrid switch from one tank to the other. And they even throw those little the text up saying, we need a new tank, we need a new tank. They're giving us hints on how to beat this, and that's, you definitely have to follow that hint. You have to switch the tank, or else your tank that has the extra damage being dealt because they took the arrow strike is going to get lit up by that bat. So you have to have the 2 tanks, and then the 2 DPS to keep it kind of speedy is how you do it. And then that's basically it. Every time she switches from blue to red, you switch tanks. The DPS people stay out of the AoE of those arrow strikes, because again, that gives you a debuff or buff where you just take more damage. So you don't want to be in that AoE. When the bat's swinging around, you are going to take a little bit of damage, but it's not a big deal if you don't have that extra damage dealt from Astrid from the arrow strike. And again, that's all we're doing here is, and you can see, it looks like Diesel took a bat swing, and his Richard went from full health to 60. Then he took another one. He's down to 30% health. So it'll get you. definitely need to have the ability to switch between two tanks. Richards will do fine. Charles will do fine for this event. I actually took first there, which was great. We were joking in Discord about how I'm the noob because I was the lowest power, but I was happy to get at least one first place throughout the night when we did this. The next bosses are Akanhak. So they are two different bosses split up among the field. And what you do for this is you need two tanks. So we went out with two tanks and then two DPS. You don't actually have to be split evenly among the map. So Diesel goes to one boss as a tank, and then Akari goes to another as a tank. And then Yuta and I both attack the one that Akari's on. So the damage goes down as you do damage. They take damage in tandem, even though they both have different skills, debuffs, buffs that they're doing to us while we're fighting or to themselves. But the big thing here is to watch out for that arrow spike the spikes that come out of the ground. Those hurt, and you definitely want to try to avoid those as much as possible, especially the ones that you see right now. So when that comes up, you do not want to be inside of the first red circle, and you don't want to be outside of the second red circle. And then the third one doesn't really matter because it ends up being so large, but you don't want to be where those spikes are going to come up and hit you because they do a ton of damage. And if you're not a tank, and if you don't have a huge heal in your skill set that came with the tank, you're going to go down. Like, you're just simply going to go down. So again, there's that red circle. We do not want to be in that. Now they're coming on the outside, so I go inside to avoid it. The last one, again, is not a huge deal, so we just go back to fighting. Now, we played this one perfectly, so it made it look really easy, but we knew the hard way. We learned the hard way of what those spikes can do, and they will take you out, no problem. So this one's almost done here. Again, watch out for the spikes. You do need two tanks. You can split up 3 and 1 and you'll be fine. And that way it'll be done. And again, we wanted this to be as fast as possible, and we wanted to get all the rewards without it taking all night. And so that's kind of what I'm showing you guys how we did it, is be on Discord, know exactly what kind of marches you need going into these bosses. And if you watch this video all the way through and you see exactly how we're playing, you're going to be able to beat all 5 bosses. I think it took us like 35 minutes or so, which is pretty good because I get some pretty sick rewards off of this. But yeah, we are trying to do it as quickly as possible, and that's the strategy that we go in with, and this is how we're doing it. So if you guys want to do the same thing, just do exactly what we're doing, and we'll be fine. Okay. Which one is this? Is this the final boss? Is it? Yeah, I think it is. It is. Okay. So this one is tricky. This one's very tricky. It's only been out for, I don't know, maybe like a month, maybe 2 months that it's been out. And so it took some learning for sure. And we actually do not win the first time for a couple different reasons. One, I didn't do as good as I should have with my healing as the support tree. So we go in here with 2 DPS, 1 tank, and 1 support. You have to have the support. And in the second time where we actually win, you'll see why it's so clutch. But on my support, I go in with a more tanky march. So I do a Charles Leo. I do not have a Richard, which is a staple for your account. And I'm still, kind of bitter that I don't have him. But I just started at a time where I missed him in the early stages and just never invested in him. So Charles Leo for me. And then we have a Richard for our tank. And then 2 DPSs. I think we have 2 cons. So the big thing with this one is what's going to happen is when he gets to 750,000 health left, he's going to spawn a random Lohar. Now, it'll tell you which player that's going to spawn on. And then once he spawns, you guys have to take him out immediately. Once that Lohar is dead, a bubble will pop over. And the big boss does like this crazy supercharge where he puts off all sorts of damage that will take you guys out, no problem. So you got to kill that Lohar immediately. And then go ahead and get in that bubble, and that way you're fully protected from like the supercharged damage that the big boss does. We just call him the big boss because he's large. His actual name is Torgny. But we just call him the big boss. I'm sure you guys have nicknames for these guys too. But yeah, so there he is doing that supercharge. We're all in the bubble, so we're perfectly safe. Another thing as well is when he is doing this, and this will come right off the bat when you start the match, he'll do that circular AoE, if you're not the tank, you definitely want to get out of that. It's just unnecessary to take it. You don't have to stay in there to beat the boss and take that damage to beat him. If you are a DPS player, you 1,000% need to be out of there. For me, I think I might take 1 or 2 throughout the match, and it's okay, but it's just unnecessary. Like, you can get out of that AoE and be perfectly fine. And so, yeah, the big thing with this one is when he pops the AoE periodically, you want to get out of it unless you're the tank. You want your tank to stay to keep the boss in the same position. So right there, we all leave. We get out of there. It's just unnecessary. We don't need to take the damage. And then we go back and hit him right away. And so as you can see, I'm going in and out of Discord here. I had some stuff going on at the house, so I didn't want to be too noisy for everybody. But we're talking continuously. And that's why Discord is such a huge advantage to be on while you're fighting these bosses, is you guys can adjust mid-round. You can say, like, hey, you're doing this wrong or doing this right, blah, blah, blah. The arrow's right there. That means the Lohar's going to spawn on Yuta. Boom, he spawned. We attack him with everything we got immediately. He goes down. We get the bubble. Then the big boss starts to do the supercharge thing, and we don't take it because we're in that bubble. And okay, so he's getting down low, actually. So when he gets below 250,000 health left, he goes into this super damage mode at all times, which makes it really, really difficult to finish. This is why we actually don't beat it this first time. And where we could have done a little bit better, me specifically with my healing as the support tree, but we were also just a little disorganized in this first attempt because it is so new. We're not as familiar with this guy as we are with the other Ceroli bosses. So his damage just continuously stacks. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, his damage is just stacking every second that we're in here. And it just becomes unbearable at a certain point. So you've really got to give it your all once he gets to 250,000 health left. The Lohar doesn't matter as much because he doesn't pop that like super surge of damage where you need to be in the bubble. You're still going to get the bubble. And if you're all grouped up, it's fine. It's going to protect you a little bit from some damage, but it doesn't do the same exact thing that it does throughout the early match where it's going to crush you if you're not in that bubble. So here we go again. We're going with the same marches. We have the same skills, and we're just going to do a little bit better this time to make it work. I do better with my support tree. So that first skill that costs 6 power points or whatever they're called, is a huge, huge heal to whatever troops are near you. So I actually use that in this attempt, and it works wonders. I heal Diesel all the way up, which is great. And so I got to use that properly each time. If you're the support tree, you need to make sure that you use that. The other skill that's in there, which is a debuff or buff, I think he takes 30% more damage from everybody, which is great as well. It also costs less than 6 power points, so that's awesome. But when I use this properly, it's very, very useful because I can heal a DPS player almost all the way by using that. And then secondly, that middle skill, the one that costs 8, it's the AoE healing, which is huge. Absolutely love that. I've used it every time on this boss. I actually learned that from the Chisgul video, and it works wonders. It works like a charm. And so again, like I said the first time around, whenever that Lohar pops before he's 250,000 health left, you got to kill him immediately and hop into that bubble so that you don't take the crazy damage. Whenever this damage is coming out, you want to get out of it so that you just don't take unnecessary damage. You don't have to take it unless you're the tank. And then so there I popped the AoE healing, which is lovely. It does 2,100 per second per player inside the AoE. So it really does a lot of healing really quick. And it's very helpful. And so the Lohar's about to pop on me. It's really helpful if you are the one that's marked to walk away a little bit so that it makes it more clear on what you're fighting and where he's going to pop up and stuff like that. So if it does pop on you and you get the arrows over you that the Lohar's going to go to you, just walk away a little bit from the main boss. And see, so that was one where I didn't leave the AoE, and it's not the end of the world if you've got a tankier march like I do in here at Charles Leo, but it's just not necessary. I should have left. The extra health would be great because I'll do more damage. It's just not necessary. And so I come back here, and this is where I use the heal. So I'm going to go over by Diesel. I notice he's a little bit low. Yuta was using his own heals from the DPS tree the whole time, which was great. And I think Diesel was using more of damage doer type stuff. So I come over to him, get out of this AoE because I'm also hurting a little bit in terms of health. And Diesel's low, and then I pop that health, and he goes, he's not full, but he's close to it. It's huge. I think he took 25,000 healing there, which is just amazing. And so, okay, we're down here into the final stage, and again, he's just stacking damage here. So we just want to stay on top of him and do as much damage as possible until he is done. Yep, I popped that AoE healing again, which, again, the support tree is very, very helpful. Drop a comment below if you guys do it differently and you don't use the support tree. Like I said, every time I've done this big boss, I've been the support tree and we've done it like that. If you guys know another way of doing it where you don't need that support tree or there's something that makes it go down faster, drop that comment. Let me know what you guys are doing. And he's getting close, and there it is. Diesel was the winner there, took a lot of damage, did a lot of damage. I'm still the noob, unfortunately. But yeah, so that was all 5 bosses right there. And then I've got 11,270 Ceroli coins that I can buy stuff with. And so what I do is go in, and I actually had some left over from the last time. So I bought all the keys earlier, and then I go ahead and just buy the material chests, all of them. And then I still have stuff left over, which is just great. And so, yeah, I buy some resources. I buy accidentally some wood. I really wanted to buy all the gold here. So I buy as much gold as I can. I accidentally buy a couple stones as well. But I would go keys, chests, then the teleport, and then the resources. So that's pretty much how we do it, guys. Like I said, drop a comment if you do it differently. If you don't use that support tree and there's a better way, let me know. Thank you very much for tuning into the video tonight. Really appreciate all the support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you guys like content like this. We are going into KVK, so I'll have all sorts of real battle type content coming at you. If this video was informative and you guys are going to use it going into fight some of these Ceroli bosses, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button as well. And again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of the night.